It is a small piece of this planet, a representation of what most of us will never experience in the wild. A chance to see the plants and animals that share the earth with us the way nature intended. It has been called one of the 10 best zoos in the United States. It's Seattle's Woodland Park Zoo, and it's providing a priceless legacy to all who see it. Woodland Park Zoo is best known for its innovative approach to zoo design. The habitats that have been developed here create a natural environment for both animals and zoo visitors. The goal is, and always will be, to feature animals as they are in the wild, as they should be displayed, with dignity and respect. Because the last thing a zoo should look like is a zoo. Woodland Park Zoo's troop of endangered lowland gorillas enjoy a tropical forest clearing, hailed by zoo professionals as the best gorilla exhibit in the world. Natural habitats enhance breeding success, and visitors to Woodland Park Zoo's gorillas will see youngsters and adults in a natural group, just like their wild counterparts. Woodland Park Zoo's African savanna is a recreation of the expansive grasslands, which are home to giraffes, zebras, hippos, lions, and more. Even the casual observer can't help but feel the wonder and excitement of viewing wildlife up close in a natural setting. Snow leopards at Woodland Park Zoo enjoy an alpine habitat designed to look like the rocky outcroppings of their Himalayan home. Rare and elusive in the wild, they are a critically endangered species that breeds well in captivity under the right conditions. Red pandas also thrive at Woodland Park Zoo. Whether munching bamboo or perched in the treetops, they give visitors a glimpse of the wonders of the natural animal kingdom, so foreign to old-fashioned zoos. Woodland Park Zoo itself was once an old-fashioned zoo. Its beginnings date back to the 1880s, when Guy Finney, real estate baron, developed his personal property outside the city in a forested area that he called Woodland Park. Proud of his English heritage, Finney set out to develop a traditional park with large formal flower beds, lawns, and a collection of animals, ranging from American deer to African ostriches. When Finney died, the estate was too much for his wife to handle. She sold the property to the city of Seattle for $100,000, a timely and good investment for the region. Other animals soon joined Finney's original collection. In the city's annual report of 1904, Woodland Park Zoo's inventory included 28 birds and 9 mammals. It was a motley collection of animals that lived in a series of cages that did little more than contain the creatures. Over the next several decades, Woodland Park Zoo's collection and facilities continued to grow. But it wasn't until the 1970s that a revolution in zoo design began. And that revolution began in Seattle, where a group of zoo designers decided to cast off traditional styles in favor of replicating nature as closely as possible. Today, Woodland Park Zoo continues to set the standards for exhibit design, using innovative techniques to bring a slice of the wild into an urban setting. A zoo should never replace the wild, but it should inspire its visitors to care for and preserve wildlife and natural habitats across the globe. The elephants at Woodland Park Zoo live in a large exhibit called Tropical Asia, patterned after its counterpart halfway around the globe. In Thailand, endangered Asian elephants are native to the forested wildlands. They've also been part of Thai culture for 3,000 years. That's why Woodland Park Zoo designed this exhibit to include such human elements as a Thai village and logging camp. This exhibit, unique in zoos around the country, gives visitors the feeling of being in Thailand and shows the roles of elephants in Asia. In the wild, elephants roam through the lush vegetation of a tropical forest. Woodland Park has created its own elephant forest by adding more than 12,000 plants to a wooded landscape. Elephants in their natural environment travel about 25 miles a day foraging for food. They push down trees and create clearings as they go. In this incredible exhibit, you can look into a clearing like those of the elephant travel routes in Asia. A stream winds through the elephant forest and cascades from under a bridge into a mammoth pool where the elephants can bathe or swim in the equivalent of 1,333 bathtubs of water. As you can see, bath time at the elephant exhibit is enjoyed by zoo visitors just as much as the oversized bathers themselves. All four of the zoo's elephants are females or cows. 3 are Asian, 1 is African. Asian elephants have small ears, an arched back, and a high head with 2 distinct bumps. While both sexes have tusks, the bull's tusks are large and heavy, while the cows are tiny and barely visible. African elephants have big ears, a sway back, and a flat head. Both bulls and cows may have large tusks. Elephants are the largest of all land animals. Their senses of hearing and smell are acute, and they depend on them more than their sight. The flexible trunk is both nose and hand. Equipped with 40,000 muscles, it is strong enough to lift heavy loads. Yet it is sensitive enough to pick up a leaf or even a grain of rice. Each day, Woodland Park Zoo's elephants consume as much as 250 pounds of hay, 150 pounds of lettuce, celery, and cabbage, 75 pounds of carrots, and 40 pounds of grain. Add a pile of apples and bananas and wash it all down with 60 gallons of water, and you have 4 satisfied elephants. Watoto, the zoo's only African elephant, was born in 1968. Full grown, she weighs 8,000 pounds. Her name, which means children in Swahili, comes from the thousands of youngsters who contributed their pennies to help buy her for the zoo. She is the only zoo elephant with large tusks, which she uses to establish and maintain her dominant position as matriarch of the zoo's small herd. Bamboo was born in 1966 and weighs 8,400 pounds. She is very intelligent and persistent. Though extremely reliable, she can still be unpredictable at times. Chai, born in 1979, is inclined to be a bit slow. Her keepers say she sometimes acts as if she's daydreaming, not unlike a child in school. She is very attached to Watoto, her foster mother. C is the youngest. Born in 1980, she has a feisty temperament and likes to play. Mischievous by nature, she looks for ways to outwit the keepers. Her name means pretty girl in Thai.
Their social system, or in their social hierarchy, is based on dominance. And in order for us to come in with the elephants and work with them on a one-on-one basis and to have them do the things that we need them to do, requires us to develop a relationship of dominance over them. When they deal with one another, they deal with one another by pushing and shoving, and they establish a pecking order. And so when we come in here, we have to establish ourselves as a higher ranked individual within their herd and their hierarchy in order for them to do the things that we need them to do and to do them on command.
In Thailand, elephants have worked for centuries in the harvesting of teak wood. At the zoo's logging camp, the elephants demonstrate the logging techniques of their Asian cousins. This work provides them with physical exercise and mental stimulation. By the camp is a village featuring heavy beams and steeply pitched roofs, the 19th century architectural style of northern Thailand. The roof beams at the front and back extend beyond the ridgepole to form V-shaped designs. These represent the Thai tradition of placing buffalo horns on the roofs to show the wealth of the family. Near the village is Rong Chang, which means House of Elephants in the Thai language. More than 50 feet high, Rong Chang is a place of honor for its residents. The elephant barriers are similar to those in the Royal Elephant Stockade in Thailand. The building contains holding and quarantine areas and an indoor shower for use when the weather is too cold for bathing outside. Radiant heat makes it possible to leave doors open without excessive heat loss. The floor is sloped and grooved to improve drainage. It is cushioned to reduce foot and joint problems in elephants. While this elephant forest provides a comfortable home for the zoo's 4 pachyderms, their wild counterparts are disappearing from the face of the earth. Only 25 to 40,000 Asian elephants remain in the world. Continuing deforestation and the spread of roads, farms, and towns into former elephant habitat threaten these creatures by restricting their range and migration routes. This exhibit is much more than just new housing. It's a facility where visitors can learn about elephants and gain an understanding of the complex issues threatening their survival. Without conservation education and captive breeding, the future of elephants is in doubt. Clipping the talons of a bald eagle, checking tuberculin tests and weighing Roosevelt elk, conducting a physical examination on a tree kangaroo, drawing blood from an Asian elephant, hand-raising infant springbok, examining the infected jawbone of a snow leopard. Work is rarely routine for a zoo veterinarian. Unlike human doctors who work with a single species, a zoo vet's patients may include a tiny frog, a 5,000-pound hippo, and just about everything in between. Zoo animals are susceptible to a variety of diseases and maladies, just like humans. But don't expect them to come and tell you what hurts. Thousands of years of evolution have led wild animals to hide their health problems from watchful predators, always looking for a sign that indicates someone might be an easier catch. If you're a zoo vet, try detecting a problem in an animal that insists its health is just fine. Human doctors typically specialize in particular areas of medicine: pediatrics, podiatry, dermatology, cardiology. Zoo vets don't have that luxury. They need to know as much as possible about every aspect of their patient, whether it's a sore hoof, a broken wing, a stomach ache, or a case of the flu. The key is preventive medicine. Stop the disease before it gets there, and you won't have to treat its victim. That means annual checkups and vaccinations, proper diets, and quarantine when a new animal joins the collection. And it means quick diagnosis when disease or injury strikes. Keepers are the first line of defense. They keep a careful eye on their charges, looking for obvious and subtle changes in their behaviors or physical conditions. Their daily reports signal a vet if a situation needs more careful evaluation. Treatment is rarely a simple matter. Diagnosis is often difficult, and an animal may be anesthetized for closer inspection. Drug levels are fairly universal for humans, not so for animals, and not necessarily within a given species. Individuals of the same weight would typically be treated with the same amount of drug, but intolerances often appear. But just like humans, zoo animals don't always get sick during regular office hours. Good veterinary care means working overtime, sometimes through the night, to make sure an animal survives. Zoo vets are a dedicated bunch who must respond at a moment's notice to care for a sick or injured creature.
You get to work with a variety of different species. a lot of challenges, and I'm not giving kitten or puppy shots all day long. Not that that's unrewarding, but we have cases like Andre here, who is a snow leopard, an endangered species, very rare animal, and he's our breeding male who's had a chronic jaw infection. He had an infected tooth several years ago that also developed a lot of bony proliferation, or a lot of excess bone that we had to go in and surgically remove, and in addition take out the infected tooth. And subsequent to that, he fractured his jaw at that site. And now it's just a very slow, gradual healing process to try to get that bone to re-heal.
No zoo vet in his or her right mind would try to do it alone. Woodland Park Zoo has 2 full-time veterinarians and a support staff of technicians. And they're not hesitant to solicit advice from other professionals, both inside and outside the zoo field. Woodland Park Zoo routinely calls in help from local pediatricians, dentists, and other medical experts. The results are usually very good and sometimes spectacular and unusual. Like the time a zoo tortoise tried to breed with his mate and fell off, breaking his leg. He was strapped to a skateboard to help him move without putting pressure on his leg. Or the time Pete the gorilla had root canal surgery to repair a badly infected tooth.
And often when these animals are sick, they hide their illnesses very well. So by the time they show any signs of illness, they're usually extremely ill, which means that anesthetizing them is even a greater risk for the animals. So we have to take a lot of thought and concern into sedating these animals. We don't do it on a routine basis. And when we do, we try to take advantage of doing a general physical exam on them, checking them over for lumps and bumps, getting some blood, getting weights on them, trying to get some baseline data. It's a challenge to try to figure out what's wrong, diagnosing from a distance, but that's what makes it enjoyable. The people that work here are extremely dedicated and hardworking, willing to put in long hours because they care about these animals, and they're dedicated to conservation and educating the public.
The long-term results of good zoo veterinary medicine can be easily measured. Zoo animals routinely live much longer than their wild counterparts. What else would you expect when they get nice homes, balanced meals, no predators, and a doctor that makes house calls? During the winters in the Pacific Northwest, large numbers of wild eagles migrate from Alaska and Canada, attracted to the spawned-out salmon which litter the banks of Washington state rivers. Joining the resident eagle population, they feast on the easily captured prey. Bald eagles are a threatened species in the state of Washington and endangered throughout much of the United States. Though it's illegal to harm eagles and other birds of prey, Woodland Park Zoo continually receives the wounded raptors. Upon arrival, they are given immediate veterinary care. Despite diligent efforts to help these birds, many die from their injuries. Others are permanently crippled and join captive breeding programs. Those lucky enough to recover completely are returned to a life in the wild. Since the start of the rehabilitation program in 1971, Woodland Park Zoo has received over 150 injured eagles. 60 have been successfully treated and returned to the wild. From its source in British Columbia, the Skagit River flows south through Washington State before angling westward into Puget Sound. 60 miles upstream from its delta lie nearly 1,000 acres of prime bald eagle wintering habitat. Here in mid-January, up to 300 eagles congregate. As the stark, somber gray of winter replaces the brilliant colors of fall, the eagles roost and feed on the dead salmon littering the banks of the Skagit River. It is in this place that Woodland Park Zoo releases its recovered eagles during the winter to begin anew the process of survival in the wild.
Okay, she's supposed to hit a little harder than that. She doesn't normally kind of hover to catch her prey. But this is Denali. Denali is our adult female gerfalcon. You can see those long pointed wings that I was talking about. It's characteristic of all of the true falcons. There are 5 different falcon species found in North America, and the gerfalcon is the largest. It's the largest falcon in the entire world.
Taking care of injured birds of prey is one important part of the raptor program at Woodland Park Zoo. Education is another.
I think it's important that these people get excited about these birds and get to see them doing some pretty spectacular stuff. Because of that, you're able to give them the message about how they make their living in the wild and how they're doing in the wild, and what we can do to take care of them in the wild. As much as anything, what I want to do with these people is to get them excited about seeing wildlife, and when they leave the zoo, if they become raptor watchers or if they become bird watchers, they become advocates for birds. They become advocates for wildlife.
Specially trained handlers make frequent demonstrations with a variety of birds. Although they cannot be released to the wild for various reasons, these magnificent birds thrive here and continue to fulfill a certain measure of their creation. And with the help and understanding of increasing numbers of visitors, the zoo will continue its programs to educate people about the fragile environment these birds occupy, perhaps someday restoring them to their place of prominence in the wild. In an effort to save many of the threatened species of the world, Woodland Park Zoo has established the Center for Wildlife Conservation. It is dedicated to the study and preservation of wildlife around the world. For millions of years, natural forces have rewarded longer life and a chance to reproduce to those creatures best suited for their environment. But the impact of humans has interfered with this process of natural selection. Many species are in danger of dying out. Maybe as many as 1 million different kinds of plants and animals. Why are so many species dying out? There are many reasons, and most have to do with us humans. Over 4 billion people live on this earth, and what seems good for us is often not good for jungles or orangutans or a myriad of other plant and animal life. The Center for Wildlife Conservation at Woodland Park Zoo develops and supports a variety of programs related to research in wildlife conservation management. The zoo's innovative conservation techniques have already been taken into the field and shared with wildlife professionals in places like Madagascar, Indonesia, China, Tanzania, Colombia, Aruba, Peru, Papua New Guinea, and Alaska. Many animals in captivity do not successfully reproduce in exhibits with limited space. For this reason, Woodland Park Zoo and the Center for Wildlife Conservation will develop a 200 to 300 acre site in the Puget Sound region to breed and study rare wildlife. Conservation is the protection and wise use of anything we want to keep. It involves each of us in protecting and conserving our natural environment for all of its inhabitants. It means careful planning, the plants and animals that live in the wild are vital in many ways to our human existence, to our food supplies, to our health, and to the quality of our lives. Much of Earth's wildlife has already been lost. If we don't act to conserve what is left, we will lose something of great value, something of ourselves. What of the future? The concept of going to one part of the zoo to see all the hoofed stock, then to another to see primates, and another for cats or bears does not represent the natural world. In the wild, animals are found in different habitats depending on the constraints of vegetation and climate. And that is the future of Woodland Park Zoo. To continue housing the diversity of animal life according to that natural order, rather than the convenient lists of zoology so often used in the past. The tropical rainforest, the African savanna, the Alaska taiga. These are just a few of the bioclimatic zones that Woodland Park Zoo is replicating on these grounds. A wide diversity of habitats made possible by the mild climate in Seattle and by the innovative visions of zoo planners. Woodland Park Zoo has embarked on an exciting and fruitful period of growth to meet its full potential as a world-class zoo. The wild animals your children and grandchildren take for granted may not survive much longer. Woodland Park Zoo is working hard to save endangered species from extinction, while helping people understand and respect the beauty and complexity of our wild world. There are good and practical reasons to conserve wildlife, but for many people, the most important reasons are harder to express. Some people feel that animals that have lived on the earth for hundreds of thousands of years have a right to their continued existence, and they believe humans have the responsibility to protect them. The people who believe this way are the people of Woodland Park Zoo. Whether we study wild things, use them wisely, or just watch them, we are amazed and fascinated by their beauty and complexity. And since not all of us can go to the wilderness to witness them firsthand, we come to the zoo to see their lifestyles and their habitats. You might say that all these animals kept here represent life in the wild for all of us. David Attenborough said, "The quality of our life on this earth is dependent upon how we treat the rest of life on earth." We have a moral responsibility to look after the rest of the world, the future of which now lies in our hands. Woodland Park Zoo, approaching 100 years of preserving, conserving, displaying, and caring for the animals of this world. It's truly an island in the middle of civilization where we can once again renew ourselves and our understanding of all nature's creatures. A zoo that doesn't look like one, because the last thing Woodland Park Zoo should look like is a zoo.